Okay, now we're down in the west wing of the State House where my office is. So this is one of my favorite places in the State House, of course. But as you noted on the room, I'm in room 473B. So if you call and you need to speak to me or come visit, this is where I am. And I'm in the Committee of Telecommunications and Utilities and Energy. I'm not on that committee. I actually serve on 4 committees because there's so few Republicans. We have to have a minimum amount of Republicans on a number of committees. I'm actually on 4. My primary committees are the most important, which is Ways and Means, which is the spending of the state. I'm on that committee. I'm also on the Judiciary Committee, and I'm on the Environmental Committee, and I have one other Personnel Administration Committee I'm on, but the 3 primary ones. Not this one, but our offices don't necessarily go by which committee we're on. They often go by what offices are available. This has been in the Republican caucus for many years. It also is an area where there are mostly all other Democrats. I think it's important to be in an area where you're kind of crossing over and talking to people who are in the other party. So I like being back here. Plus, it's a quiet area of the State House. And when I come here, I'm usually very focused on either being on the floor and voting and debating or in my office getting work done. So this is a nice area. When I first was brought in, I was put in an area with 6 offices very close to each other. And it was like Grand Central Station. I got to know some people. It was great, but it was always crazy busy and you could never get anything done. So as you'll see when you come down here, we're in a kind of a nice quiet office. Hi Courtney, how are you? Good, thanks. So we come down here, it's not the real fancy stuff, but we got a nice area we come to right down here at the end of this hallway where you come into our area. And this back area is just ours. This is my Chief of Staff. This is my Chief of Staff, Jason Reeves. He's here today, as he is every day. Jason is what we work out is Jason is in the State House building, sometimes 7 days a week, but at least 5 days a week. And he's here every day. I call in if I'm not here 4 or 5 times a day, and we kind of catch up on when people have called us, what we need to work on, emails, things like that. And at the same time is when I'm here together, we work on issues. If I'm not, we email and talk on the phone regularly to stay in touch. But Jason, how you doing today?
Not too bad. It's been a good day so far, so no complaints.
Well, let me ask you this just first off, because there are people that may be watching this would be interested how you got your job. I mean, what's your background? How did you come to this?
I was working for the trial court for a couple of years, and I decided that I was going to continue on and go to law school, so I was trying to find a position in the area that would let me continue school in Boston. A couple of friends worked in the building and suggested I explored this position. It took quite a while to really come to life. I had applied for a number of jobs before I found Lew, and it's been a great mix so far, and it's been just a real good fit for me between school and work, and I have no regrets about coming down to the State House. It's been a great experience so far.
Well, how long have you been with me there, Jason? We're almost at a year.
It's almost a year. I think the first week in October will be 1 year.
Matter of fact, we had a little crossover with Mary Feudman, who was my aide before Jason. She was from Princeton. She was with me for over 2 years. She moved on, and Jason stepped right in. And I'll tell you, Jason's been an extremely excellent aide. He really works hard, and I know many people in the district have thanked me, Jason, personally, for the great work you've done and the efforts we make. So, again, thanks for everything you do. Anything we'll go in and talk about in a second, but
Absolutely.
Anything particularly going on today?
Just getting some things together for that meeting tonight, and other than that, things are looking pretty good thus far.
Let's see. Now tonight I have a regional finance committee meeting in Rutland, which is going to be. We've been asked to show up at the Rutland Finance Committee, Regional Committee, to discuss the budget outlook for next year. And obviously, one of the big concerns is Chapter 70, which is school funding. And I have a number of things that Jason's helped me put together, which have to do with Chapter 70 projections. As you can imagine, with the school budget being well over $70 million, it is the giant in the room when it comes to our fiscal operations as a district for the Wachusett region. I represent 2 other school districts of the Oakmont Regional School District up in Westminster and Quabbin, which I represent in Hubbardston and Oakham. So we have 3 regional school districts, and the school budget is the premier issue when it comes to how we're going to function next year and what we need to keep an eye on. So tonight's an important meeting, and Jason and I worked on this, putting this packet together, and you were kind enough to have it ready for me tonight, so I'll be taking that. Here's a number of my September events that I've been having. As you can see, you get invited to a lot of events throughout the month. So this is September. We prepare one for each month. We'll have another one for October. These just outline wherever I have to be at any time, so I know where I go to be. And when I'm arriving, I like to look at the invitation and just be clear as each week comes up what I have coming up. So we have that. These are a lot of the work we do. Jason helps me do this, and I hope some of you out there have received these from us. But we have our own machine here that does the actual laminating. And what we do is we go through our local papers, and we like to recognize the work that the kids do in our district. And one of the great things we like to do is laminate a photograph. I won't point out every individual here, but there's a lot of sports activities and things that are either in the Landmark or the Community Journal or the Barry Gazette. And they recognize the great works people in our community do. And I feel like, well, I can't change the world maybe as a state representative, and I do my best to vote as best I can for the district. But in the end, I can recognize the great things that people do in our district and send them a note of appreciation. And I've done that consistently, and that's what Jason and I work a lot on, as well as budget and legislation. We work on the local issues, and I do believe that that's as big a part of my job as voting and legislation is working within the district, being available to people and recognizing their good acts. So this is a lot of that. These have to do, we like to send citations out, which we're able to get when people are married or they have children, graduating from school, receiving honor lists, making honor lists, things like that, moving to town. So we put a lot of information together for people, try to get it out to them. And again, I have felt very positive in the sense that when I go out to the district, everywhere I go, people are very thankful and appreciative of the efforts we put in here. So when we first worked together and I hired Jason, we talked about that, and he understood it, and he's kept our the level of work we've done is higher than it's ever been. And I know that the people appreciate it because I come in the office and I always tell Jason, I ran into 3 or 4 people on Saturday. They thanked me for the photographs or the notes or things like that. And I know it goes a long way and seems to mean a lot to especially the younger kids when they're in the Happy Times page in the paper. They seem to really appreciate being recognized for that. And I hope that leads them to pursue, more writing or art or sports. Just the fact that positive reinforcement for kids today is a big part of what I try to do. So anyway, that's it. But this is already here. So for this today.